What is going on, my Super Sandwiches? Robster here, and today I want to break down all of the gameplay in regards to the Time Patrols and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And in case you missed the actual gameplay, I will link the 3 videos I posted yesterday in the description below. And today I'm going to go into depth of what we saw with the Saiyan race, with the female side of the Saiyan race, the Namekian race, and the Frieza race. So without further ado, let's jump into the Saiyan race first. Now, before I start my breakdown, I do want to point out that I will answer a bunch of questions in regards to the TGS build. So drop me any question in the comment section below, but please keep it based on the TGS build. Don't ask me about DLC or any of that stuff because I don't know. If you see certain questions about certain moves that I cover in this video, feel free to ask stuff like that. But don't ask me like, hey, who's going to be in the final roster? Because I don't know. But if you ask me like, oh, how balanced or unbalanced is Super Saiyan 3 versus Giants, then do that and I will answer that in a future video. But for now, let's get into the good stuff. So first things first, just in case you didn't know, and I'm sure you know because you've already seen the gameplay, the Saiyan hair does not change when you go Super Saiyan 1 or 2. It's kind of the same thing that we saw with Xenoverse 1. Now I'm hoping that at some point in the future, Dimps maybe releases a patch or an update that kind of gives us better Saiyan model hair when you go Super Saiyan, because it does feel better epic. It does kind of add to it when the hair looks better. But as of right now, it looks exactly the same it does in Xenoverse 1. However, of course, we do have Super Saiyan 3, which is an incredible power boost, and oh my gosh, that needs to kind of get nerfed before we get the final version game. Now, in the TGS build that I played this past weekend, going Super Saiyan 3 was just what you needed to change the tide of battle greatly. And I mean greatly. Like, going Super Saiyan 3 can make you go from losing to winning within seconds. And using the transformation the right way can be the big impact, or cause a big impact that allows you to win in a fight. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have noticed this, but when you actually transform into Super Saiyan or any transformation that you don't actually use ki. You just kind of need to have a certain amount of ki to transform, but you don't use it. So, for example, if I want to go Super Saiyan 1, I need 3 ki bars. However, when I transform, I still have those 3 ki bars to use certain super attacks or maybe some ultimate moves. Now, by now, everybody knows certain ultimate attacks do take 5 ki bars. For example, in the gameplay that I saw or uploaded yesterday, Kaioken times 20 Kamehameha takes 5 ki bars, whereas an attack like Super Kamehameha takes 3 ki bars. Speaking of ki, when you go Super Saiyan 3, you have to be very careful this time because you actually gain no ki back for melee attacks. If you're a Super Saiyan 1 and 2, you gain a little bit of ki back. If you're in your base form, you gain a lot of ki. But when you're in Super Saiyan 3, you gain 0 ki back while doing melee attacks on your opponents. So basically, when you go Super Saiyan 3, you have to focus on having either maximum charge or turn it back into base form to transform to get ki back. Otherwise, you'll be in a lot of trouble, and you have to really focus on how to manage your ki, which is kind of cool because that reminds me of the series, because that's the one problem that Goku had when he went Super Saiyan 3 against Kid Buu. He could not really control his ki that well, and I think that's a nice little touch that Dimps added into the game. On top of that, it does make the transformation a bit more balanced by having that ki restriction, because then you have to either rely on turning back into your base form to charge up or equip maximal charge. With that said, let me know your thoughts on Super Saiyan 3 overall in the comment section below. Do you think it should get a nerf, or do you think it should stay the same? Any ideas you have to make the form, be better? Feel free to discuss down below. But as of right now, Super Saiyan 3, I feel like it's going to be a major factor in the online version of Xenoverse 2. Now, as far as the moves, I was able to test out 4 super attacks and then 2 ultimates. These attacks included Super Donut Volley, Sudden Storm, Senko Ki Blast, Max Charge, and then the 2 ultimates for a final explosion, and then the times 20 Kaioken Kamehameha. So Super Donut Volley, honestly, I will admit, I didn't get a chance to really test it out. I tried it a couple times, but I didn't really understand it. What it seems to be, it was Gotenks' move where he sends out the donut attack and then kind of freezes you for a second, and it kind of gives you an attack to do a move. But opponent wasn't frozen that long at all, and because of that, I didn't really test it out that much. Now, Sudden Storm, I feel like I'm going to have to equip to my custom created character because that attack was amazing. As you guys already know, that is Turles' Ki Blast move, and what it does is it fires a bunch of purple Ki Blasts that chase your opponent. Absolutely incredible. Now, the Senko Ki Blast was very interesting because it was kind of an evasive move, but it was a super attack. First things first, it's going to bug me forever because I have actually no clue where Senko Ki Blast came from. I recognize the movement and I remember seeing it, but to those who do remember where Senko Ki Blast was used in the series, please feel free to comment down below. But basically what it does is you fire kind of a blinding flash to the ground and then jump up. It's an evasive move, but it's a super move. That makes sense. It uses 1 ki bar, you blind your opponent and kind of get out of the way. Now, I did notice it's a possible exploit that if you're at the top of the ceiling of a map, you could actually do the Senko Ki Blast to blind somebody and go into a combo. So I wonder if that's going to get patched or fixed or nerfed or prior to the release of the game. But as of right now, that's what I noticed in the game, is it blinds your opponent and then kind of like gets you out of the way. I'm pretty sure I don't have to talk too much about maximum charge other than the fact that the startup time is a lot faster now, so you can actually use maximum charge without having to completely worry about getting destroyed every time you do that, the super move. Now, as far as final explosion and Kaioken Kamehameha, I'm pretty sure that's what people want to hear about the most. Now, Final Explosion is very tricky because the startup time is extremely slow. I think the best way to pull off the Final Explosion is to stamina break your opponent into the ground so they're on the floor and then immediately do an attack, because that should catch them right as they're getting up. As far as any other way, I haven't been successfully been able to pull that attack off, just because anytime you do a startup, it's really easy for your opponent to run away. Now, if you're in a small map, you could probably try trapping them between a wall or something, but for the most part, the best way to pull off the Final Explosion from me playing a TGS build was to stamina break them to the ground, and then while they're kind of like recovering on the floor, you can do the attack and catch them in it before they get up. Oh, since a lot of people already asked, there's actually no negative effects to using the attack. I know on the show, when Vegeta did it, he obviously died, but this is a video game, so I don't think they're going to add any form of punishment. I know in the past games, there were some forms of punishment if you pulled it off incorrectly where you die, but I don't think that's what Dimps is going for in this game. They're more about a competitive style fighting game this time, and that's why there's no actual negative impact. After you do the attack, actually, I will point out that you do kind of look stony and gray, and on top of that, from what I saw, that was not the final version yet. I think there's still some textures missing, but when the final version comes out, the way it's supposed to look like is how we saw Vegeta in the series, where after the explosion is done, you got kind of like a zoom in look on your face, you're all stony and stuff, and then you kind of have like the ashiness on your character for a couple seconds prior to going back to normal. Overall, though, it felt very satisfying to pull the attack off, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are going to use it. Now, I don't know if this is going to be restricted to certain races like the Majin race and the Saiyan race, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a basic attack that anybody can equip, because I feel like all Final Explosion really is just a super explosive wave where you put all your power into one blast. So if that changes, I'll let you guys know, but for now, assume that any race can do it. Now, the attack that everybody is talking about, of course, is the ×20 Kaioken Kamehameha, and I'm pretty sure everybody watching this video is right now contemplating adding that attack to your custom created character. The way the attack works is it takes 5 key bars. It starts off as a strike attack and ends as a key attack. And basically what happens is you go into Kaioken attack mode, which you've seen Goku use many times in the series, and then you finish your opponent with a vicious Kamehameha to the face. Now, I will point out that the attack was a bit buggy in the TGS build, and there were certain times that caused my opponent to roll out of the attack prior to getting hit by it. And other times I noticed that my patroller wouldn't even do the Kamehameha. Basically, they would just do the Kaioken attack and then stop there. Now again, the attack was very buggy, and I'm pretty sure the reason why both of these things happen is because of those same issues. So until I play the final version of the game and know what the game's going to look like without bugs, I can't really judge the attack yet. But if it's anything like what they're probably trying to go for, it's awesome, and I definitely want to equip it to my character as well. Moving on to the next race, let's talk about the Frieza Pops, the Frieza race. So if you guys saw me in Xenoverse 1, I chose the Frieza race last time, and I'm definitely playing as the Frieza race in the next game. And the thing that made me choose this race last time in Xenoverse 1 was just because I love the customization options that race offered, as opposed to the Saiyans, the Namekians, and the humans. And that partially is the reason why I also want to play as the Frieza race in the next game, but what mostly has sold me is the new moveset as well as the golden transformation that's been added to the next game. When you turn golden, and yes, by the way, it's literally called turn golden as a move, big shout out to Dimps. I mean, these are the same people who created Frieza race as a name for the Frieza race. Very original. But anyways, when you actually become golden, what happens is your character gets a massive speed boost, and on top of that, you get brand new key attacks as well. Which, by the way, they're very dangerous. These new key attacks when you're in the golden form are super fast. When you tap the key button attack, you can basically machine gun somebody. On top of that, you can link many combos together. Imagine this. I do a combo on you, I fire you back, I shoot a key blast, and then I get back close to you and then keep the combo going. You can do that with the Frieza race in this game, and I feel like because of that, they're going to be like the go-to race as far as linking attacks and combos together. If you end up holding the basic key attack button down, then you unleash a full power death beam that we saw Frieza do many times in the series. So basically, going golden speeds you up and adds a new key blast moveset for your character. Now, I do want to point out that in the TGS build that I got to play the other day, there was a big bug causing you to take a lot of damage to the Frieza race. At first, I assumed maybe it was a special ability or weakness to the Frieza race, going golden would have a little stamina, but then we concluded at the end of the day that it was just a bug, because certain attacks would do little damage, and then if you link them together a certain way, it would literally cause me to die. So I couldn't really have that much time testing out the Frieza race just because of these bugs, but I'm hoping when the final version of the game comes out in October, they won't have that many issues when it comes down to it. But ultimately, I am pretty much sold on playing as the Frieza race when the game comes out on October 25th. Now let's talk about the new super attacks that I got to experience with the Frieza race character. They included Kaioken Assault, Crazy Finger Shot, Death Cycle Bomb, Maximum Charge, and then for the ultimate attacks, I had the Double Death Slicer and a Supernova Cooler, which is basically Cooler Supernova attack that we saw in the previous build of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. On top of that, you can go golden, as I said, and then the evasive move that I had equipped was Spinning Blade, which is a move that we saw in Xenoverse 1. Now, what I found very interesting was that 2 of the super moves equipped to the Frieza race character were based on how much ki you have, and then it immediately reminded me of the Emperor Death Beam in Xenoverse 1, which still gives me nightmares to this day. Oh my god, that attack. So what I noticed was Kaioken Assault and Crazy Finger Shot were based on how much ki you have, and the longer you hold the button down, the longer you keep the attack going. Kaioken Assault was the same move that Goku used against Nappa in the Saiyan Saga of Dragon Ball Z, and then Crazy Finger Shot was the same move that third form Frieza used against Piccolo on Planet Namek. Now, I wasn't able to fully test Kaioken Assault. I don't know if there's any limitation to it or if the move cuts off at a certain point. Basically, that works is you hit your opponent once, and then you go into Kaioken mode, going back and forth, hitting them across the map until you run out of ki. Same goes with Crazy Finger Shot. As long as you hold the attack down, you can keep the attack going. Now I want to go back and talk about the golden form real fast because I actually forgot to mention something. When you transform into golden form, you can actually regain ki by doing basic melee attacks. Now remember, Super Saiyan 3, you can't do that just because it's so powerful and it adds a big massive damage boost. But in the golden form, you are actually just getting a speed boost, and because of that, you can still regain ki using your melee attacks. However, be careful because there's more attacks like the Kaioken Assault and the Crazy Finger Shot. It'll be very easy to deplete all your ki against your opponent. Now the Death Psycho Bomb has easily become my favorite attack for the new Frieza Race moveset, and mostly because it's so easy to link together with so many different moves. As you can see on the screen, I do a quick short range combo and I catch my opponent with it, and then do a knockback and I still catch them before they land and I blow them up. It's so satisfying. I'm pretty sure this attack was not available to equip in Xenoverse 1. In fact, I'm like 99.9% sure. But I definitely know that when I create my Frieza Race character in Xenoverse 2, I need that attack. I need that attack in my life, and it's definitely going to get equipped whenever I unlock it in the game. Now, as far as ultimates, I was able to play around with 2 attacks. The Double Death Slicer, which is a brand new move available to custom created characters, and then of course the Supernova, the cooler version. Now I do want to point out that going golden did not speed up the Supernova cooler attack. Now originally when they showed off the golden form a couple weeks ago, I assumed going golden sped up every single attack, but in all reality all it does is it speeds you up and gives you a new ki attack. So when you do other attacks like super moves and ultimates, it doesn't actually speed them up, at least I think. Either way, the Supernova attack already went really fast, so if you do it the right way, you can do some crazy combos and finishers with the attack. Now, as far as the Double Death Slicer, I can't say that I really liked it, but I feel like I did it wrong. If we remember in the show, with the Double Death Slicer, you were able to control it, but no matter what I pressed, I wasn't actually able to control it in the game, so I don't know if that was like a non-final thing, or I just did it wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'll just wait for the final game to come out in October, and then I'll kind of give it another shot and see if I can do it any differently or whatever. But ultimately, the Frieza Race is a lot of fun to play with, and like I said, they're my #1 pick for the race I want to go with in Xenoverse 2. Now the final race that I'm going to cover is the Namekian race. I unfortunately didn't get to play as the Majins or the humans, so we'll save that for another time. But the Namekian race actually has me interested. The Namekian race honestly had me zero hype. I was completely unhyped at all to play as in Xenoverse 1, and I felt like in Xenoverse 2 it was going to be the same situation. However, I am completely wrong because the Namekian race is a lot of fun to play with in Xenoverse 2. First things first, let's talk about becoming giant because that's what everybody wants to hear about first, and just like with Turn Golden, yes, it's just literally called Become Giant. Big shout out to Dims for the very creative names. Now, becoming giant is very interesting, and I'm curious to know how this is going to balance it out once the game comes out in October, because it's kind of overpowered, to be honest. The way it works is once you have 3 key bars, you transform, and then as long as you have stamina, you stay in this giant form. Once your stamina depletes or hits 0, then you turn back, and then your stamina is broken, where you're open to get destroyed and punished by your opponent. So basically, you want to make sure you kill your opponent before your stamina breaks, otherwise prepare for punishment. When you transform, you do get a brand new moveset. Instead of having what you have equipped, you'll end up getting a short range, mid range, and long range attack, and then you have like an evil roar. So basically, you literally become a grade 8, but less sluggish, if that makes sense. As far as ultimates, you have none, and you just kind of have to rely on your key attacks and then your melee attacks to do some damage. Now remember, every damage you take at this point is going to lick your stamina, so all your opponent has to do is one ultimate attack and you're back to your regular form, and then again you're going to get punished for having broken stamina. So that's kind of balancing, but at the same time you can really unleash a lot of severe punishment to your opponent if you use it the right way. Now I did notice a potential issue in the TGS build, and that's the fact that you can actually spam becoming giant. And what I mean by that is since you're doing melee attacks in a giant form, you regain ki, meaning once your stamina breaks and you revert back to normal and your ki or your stamina recovers, you can just transform into giant once again. Now, of course, you'll be kind of a slow target, a giant target that, so all it takes is one ultimate move to knock you back into your senses, but at the same time, if you do it the right way, you can probably spam it, and I hope that they fix that prior to releasing the game. What I would suggest is when you transform into giant and turn back into a regular form, it should deplete your ki and stamina completely. But then again, I don't know how that's going to get balanced out. On top of that, I really don't know if that's going to be an issue in the online version of Xenoverse 2. I do know, after like losing so much to Afro, becoming a giant with the Namekian basically always put the fights in my favor. Like, I would destroy him before he could destroy me. So again, until we kind of get a better test of it and feel of it online, I don't really have much to say about that, but I do know it's pretty awesome. And yes, again, it's very slow and sluggish, and that's kind of the downfall of it. But if you use it the right way, you can destroy your opponent. And I love the fact that the grab is the same grab that we saw with, Vegeta when he grabbed Goku in the Saiyan Saga, where he just kind of squeezes them and then throws them. Now, as far as super moves, we do have some new ones. We have Sonic Rush, Kill Driver, and Go-Go Gum. And then the fourth one was Maximum Charge, which obviously is a new. Kill Driver is the same attack that we saw with Turles, like that circular looking key attack. Go-Go Gum was an interesting one because this is actually a Majin Buu attack. If you guys remember, it's when Majin Buu pulled himself apart and then threw him on Vegeta and then kind of wrapped him in that weird pink goo. But in this situation, you kind of zap your opponent and then they kind of get wrapped in a weird purplish goo. I call it the Piccolo dick. But as far as Sonic Rush is an interesting move because it's basically a melee storm attack that's similar to Kaioken Assault, but it only uses one key bar and doesn't last as long as Kaioken Assault. Either way, all of these moves are incredible, and if you use them the right way, you can link some insane combos together. Now, as far as ultimates, we have two new ones. We have the Darkness Rush, which is the same move that we saw with Lower Slug in the first build, where you just kind of grab your opponent and then just beat them down in a vicious way. And the other one is Elegant Blaster, which is actually Zarbon's move. Now, as far as Darkness Rush, I'm pretty sure it's only going to be available to the Namekian race just because it requires you to stretch your arm across the map to grab your opponent. So this is basically going to be like the starter pack attack for every Namekian in the game. On top of that, it's very powerful, and I mean, there's no reason not to use it. Now, as far as Elegant Blaster, it's just kind of like meh. You kind of snap vanish and then you blast, just like Zarbon did in the series, so I don't really care about that one. But the really cool one, obviously, is Darkness Rush. But outside of becoming giant, there's really nothing that special about the Namekian race as of right now, obviously. I mean, from the looks of it, Xenoverse 2 is going to have more character-based attacks or race-based attacks that will be available to certain races. So until I know what that list is, I don't really know the pros and cons of playing the different races other than the transformation that we see. But I do know, out of all the transformations, if you do it right, the giant form by far was the most powerful, followed by Super Saiyan 3, and then, of course, golden form. So I guess the question I want to leave you guys before I end this video is what race do you want to play with from these three? Just from these three. I mean, if you want to say the human race as well as the Majin race as well, feel free to do so. But based on what you guys know from the Namekian, Frieza, and Saiyan race, who do you want to play as and why? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Overall though, I gotta say I'm super satisfied playing the TGS build, and I cannot wait to see what else Dimas has in store for us with Xenoverse 2. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on the Namekian, Frieza, and Saiyan race, any questions you might have, and I guess we'll take it from there. As always, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Rhymestyle, and I will see all y'all some super sandwiches in the comment section below. Peace.